Hey there, it's me Eden. If you are new to the channel, then please subscribe to my channel and visit my Patreon page for early access, link in the description. When we said our goodbyes, Debbie nudged me playfully. That was fun, she laughed. For you, maybe, I replied. You're a natural, she teased. They didn't suspect a thing. Back at the car, we laughed over the day's events as we loaded our bags. Thanks for today, Debbie, I said sincerely. I'd have been lost without you. She shrugged, lighting a cigarette. It's good to have a girlfriend for a shopping day, you know? I smiled, watching her. Don't get used to it, it's only temporary, I said. She handed me a small package. What's this? I asked, confused. An exercise DVD, helps with toning. It'll, you know, make you look the part. I wasn't sure whether to laugh or feel awkward, but thanked her anyway. Debbie drove off, and I took Melissa and our bags inside. George was relaxing in the lounge, and I made my way over. We're back, I said, adopting the soft tone Debbie had coached me on. George looked up, his eyebrows raised. Wow. I'd never have recognized you, he said, sounding surprised. Debbie did wonders, I admitted, smiling. I may have overspent, though. He waved it off, still staring at the transformation. It's for a good cause. After tucking away my old clothes and arranging the new ones, I joined George downstairs, Melissa now asleep in his arms. I poured myself a glass of wine, enjoying the quiet. Did you have a good day? He asked. It was strange at first, but I got used to it, I said, smiling as I noticed a lipstick mark on my glass. George offered to put Melissa to bed, giving me a moment to relax and reflect. Today had gone better than expected, shopping, dining out, even chatting up strangers, and no one batted an eye. When George returned, we chatted about the day. Something felt different about him, more polite, like he was seeing me in a new light. Maybe, just maybe, this plan would work after all. The shopping trip had certainly forged a firm friendship between Debbie and me. Each day after our excursion to Glasgow, I either visited her or she came over to me. It was hardly a surprise, considering I was the only young woman in the area. George and Gavin were the youngest farmers around for miles, most of the others were in their late 40s or 50s, with wives to match. Their wives spent most of their time arranging church events, like bring and buy sales, coffee mornings, and so on. Debbie and I, however, had settled into an altogether different routine. After completing our morning housework, we would meet up to play with Melissa. Once she had nodded off, we brought out an exercise video, one of those celebrity ones designed to tone and trim the body. After our sessions, we either had a light lunch at home or popped out to a local country pub for a bite to eat. About a month into our regular workouts, Debbie arrived one morning, bursting with energy and chatter. I've got a present for you, she beamed, entering the farmhouse with a wrapped package under her arm. What is it? I asked, curiosity piqued. Later, after our workout, she insisted, a mischievous smile on her face. With the music starting, we launched into our routine, both dressed in lycra shorts and small vest tops. We focused on our legs, back sides, and stomach muscles, moving in sync with the upbeat instructions from the video. 40 minutes later, two sweaty bodies collapsed on the floor, panting and laughing. Debbie spoke first. You know, this is really working for you, she said, her eyes sparkling. How do you mean? I asked, intrigued. Well, your leg shape and thighs look really feminine, and your arse has really perked up, she said, playfully reaching over to pinch it. Ow, leave off. I protested, laughing but secretly pleased. No, really. And you've lost, what now, 4 inches off your waist, she asked, her tone encouraging. About that, I replied, beaming with pride. See what I mean, she said. I'm going to take a shower. Will you watch Melissa?
Yeah.
No problem. I climbed the stairs and entered the bathroom. Stripping off, I looked at my body in the full-length mirror, twisting slightly to check myself from all angles. She's right, I thought. My legs were toned, sleek, and muscular. My stomach resembled a washboard, and my backside, well, she was right, it was perky and tight. Nothing could give me that womanly hip shape, but who cared? After all, how many women have you seen without dominant hips? I smiled at my reflection and stepped into the hot, steamy shower. 20 minutes later, I powdered my skin with scented talc. I put on my dressing gown and left the bathroom. Debbie, the shower's free. Is Melissa okay? I called down.
Yeah.
She's asleep. I'll be up in a minute. I walked into my bedroom and sat down on the edge of my bed, plugging in the hairdryer to dry my hair. Although it hadn't been long since I arrived, I had let it grow, and Debbie had just restyled it into a chic pageboy cut. With my hair dry, I applied some light daytime makeup. Just as I was about to get dressed, there was a knock at my door. You decent? Debbie asked, opening the door before I could respond. She walked in, dressed in black jeans and a white blouse. Your present, she said, handing me a box, her eyes twinkling with excitement. What is it? I asked, eager to find out. Open it, and you'll see. I tore away the wrapping and found 2 boxes inside. As I peeled back the packing tape, my expression shifted from bewilderment to realization. Is this what I think it is? I asked, my heart racing. She smiled knowingly. Yes. I lifted the object before me, a silicone realistic vagina, complete with a small tuft of what seemed like real hair. Put it on. There's a tube inside for your thing, you can go to the loo just like a real woman. Promise I won't peek, she said, turning her back with a playful grin. I stood up, my heart pounding with a mix of excitement and nerves, and stepped into it, placing my cock into the tube. Opening the drawer, I took out a pair of dark pink panties and pulled them up tightly. The effect was amazing. I looked down, finally achieving the perfect female shape that I sometimes struggled to get. Now, open the other one, Debbie encouraged. Once more, I ripped open the packaging and, as expected, found a pair of false breasts, complete with realistic-looking nipples that felt and looked just right. Where did you get all this stuff? I asked, astonished. Oh, I was surfing the net a couple of weeks ago, found a site for things like this, and thought of you, she replied, her excitement contagious. So how do I put them on? I asked, feeling a rush of anticipation. That's adhesive, she said, pointing to a can in the box. Here, let me help you fit them. She walked over and sprayed a generous amount of adhesive on the back, then held the first breast to my chest, keeping it in place for a couple of minutes before letting go. The feeling was surreal, Debbie holding my false tit in place while I stood in front of her in pink panties. Once the other breast was fitted, she showed me how to disguise the seams with some clever makeup. Sure enough, within minutes, it was impossible to see the joins. Get dressed, I'll meet you downstairs, she said, turning to leave, her smile radiant. Thanks, Debbie, I said, my heart racing with a mix of gratitude and excitement. No problem. Fancy a trip to Girvan? It's a lovely day, walk along the front, grab an ice cream or a coffee.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll be down in 10 or 15 minutes, I replied as she left the room and closed the door. Standing up, I immediately felt the extra weight on my chest and the prominence of my newfound femininity. Deep down, I was pleased. The padding I had used before was good, but lifting Melissa or applying any pressure to my chest had sometimes led to awkward reshaping. Now all that was over. I grabbed a matching bra and encased my new breasts in the soft pink fabric. Seeing them pushed up and together, with the round globes peeking out at the top, I couldn't help but rub them, feeling a stirring in my loins as the tube I was in began to swell. Knock it off, I told myself, shaking my head to regain focus. I pulled out a pair of jeans from the wardrobe and slipped them on, adding a pink checked Western-style shirt, leaving the top button open to expose a hint of cleavage. I looked in awe at my reflection. After putting on a pair of 3-inch pink stilettos and fastening a wide white belt around my increasingly narrow waist, I selected some jewelry and grabbed a white shoulder bag. I dropped in some makeup, my cigarettes, and a lighter. Finally, with a spritz of perfume, I was off downstairs for a day out with Debbie. We pulled into a seafront car park and unpacked Melissa's buggy. As we set off along the shoreline in bright sunshine, a sea breeze just fresh enough to keep us cool blue in our faces. "Fancy a bite to eat?" Debbie asked.
Yeah.
"Why not?" I replied. "There's a little cafe up there with tables outside," she said, pointing along the road. We walked along and found a table outside. Sitting down, I parked the buggy, securing the brake as I did so. We sat down and lit a cigarette, making sure that Melissa was out of the path of any smoke. A waitress approached us, and we both ordered a smoked ham and cheese baguette along with 2 cups of black coffee. A few minutes later, she returned with our order just as we stubbed out our cigarettes. She spied Melissa and pulled faces in her direction, as adults do in the presence of babies. "Oh, she's a little sweetheart, yours," she said, gesturing toward me. "Yes, her name's Melissa," I replied. Out of the corner of my eye, I could see Debbie stop just as she was about to eat her baguette, her fork frozen in midair. "Well, she'll break a few hearts," the girl said, nuzzling Melissa's cheek with her hand. A smile broke out across Melissa's face at the human contact. "Enjoy your meal," the waitress said as she moved on. I turned and looked at Debbie. She was staring straight at me. "What?" I asked. It's just that when she asked who the baby was, you said yours." "Did I?" I replied.
Yeah.
"You did." "Well, just playing the part," I said as I took a bite of my lunch. Debbie smiled and began to eat. Please subscribe my channel for the next part. And visit my Patreon page for early access.